It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer called AraBier. It's from Belgium. It's brewed by Dolle Brouwers. And it's coming in at 8% ABV. Quite a funky label. White cap. Let's get the beer out into a glass and see what we get then. Whoa, look at that smoke on the opening. I am a fan of the Dolle beers. I've had a few of them now. Wow. That's a carbonated little number. It's developed great big 4-finger white head. And I suppose only a Belgian barman could pour this beer perfectly. I've seen a few programs where they're pouring these beers off the casks and the casks, and they're just absolutely kind of almost exploding in the pint glass if you get it wrong. But they got a certain art in Belgium to get this kind of beer style right, because they're very carbonated beers. This beer is available from beersofeurope.co.uk, the largest online beer store. If you've been on holiday, if you've been working away and you've been drinking decent beer and you want to drink that beer back home, then Beers of Europe is probably the answer. They got great beers, of course, from Belgium, as we have here. I've been drinking some great German beer from Beers of Europe recently. Great American beer, UK beer, Italian beer, Australian beer, New Zealand beer, Mexican beer. Lots of beer from around the world. So check out beersofeurope.co.uk. Right. We've got the little bit of sponsorship done. Thank you to sending Beers of Europe. And let's get on with the review. So, most definitely an unfiltered bottle conditioned beer. Nice levels of carbonation, and you can see the little speckles of yeast floating around in the glass. It's a nice golden coloured beer, quite clear, with a, as I said, 4-finger white head. Let's get the aroma. Oh, wow, it's pleasantly hoppy, this one. Very funky. It's a mixture of the hops in the beer and that lovely Belgian yeast that produces lovely kind of candied sugared aromas in the beer. It smells really good. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh wow, that is something else. That is really good. Carbonated but really smooth and clinical and crisp. There's a lovely longing bitterness developing on the back end. I mean, really developing. It's a lovely kind of slow building bitterness. Lemon, pithy orange peel, pithy lemon. Pine needles. It's very nettly. There's a lot of kind of lovely nettle feeling, taste in this beer. As I said, mixed with that carbonation, goes very well. This is an absolute stonker of a beer. Right, let me pour it carefully. Can you see the yeast from the bottle pouring into the glass? Now there's a lot of yeast in there. There you go. I want to shake that up and pour it in. Look at that. Look how that beer's changed in the glass. Look at all that yeast now in the bottom of the glass. As you know, Belgian beers are yeast orientated beers. They're very prominent with the yeast. They like to build their beers from the malt and the yeast. Gives lots of flavours. The Belgian brewers, they're complete artists at what they do. As you all know, I've probably told the story a million times. I wasn't keen on the style, the Belgian beers, when I first started reviewing beers. Didn't really understand it, didn't really get it, but the more I drank them, the more I just fell in love with this style of beer. It's really good. Really good. Let's see if it tastes any different with a bit of yeast in. Probably doesn't. Although, saying that, wow, it's a little bit more powerful in the flavour. Lots of orange fleshy blood orange and an orange peel, lemon peel in the taste. Really happy with that longing bitterness that comes through and just builds and builds and builds. I suppose with it being quite hoppy, it's Belgium's kind of 8% equivalent of an American style double IPA. It's nicely carbonated, it's very hoppy, plenty of yeast going on in there. With the flavours, candied sugar, candied fruit. It's really good. It's a really good beer. The beer's kept its head very well. So, AraBier, brewed and bottled by Dolle. 8% ABV. I highly recommend this beer. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give this beer a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Put your comments in the comments box. Check out beersofeurope.co.uk for the beer. Please subscribe to our daily beer reviews and cheers.